Hi, my name is Karina Chan Vanderhelm, and my project is Conscious Consumers. The Earth is in an environmental crisis, and waste is a huge contributor to that. In 2018, each person produced an average of around 250 pounds of just packaging waste. Altogether, that's over 82 million tons of packaging waste from the US. The excessive use of packaging is something I've been thinking about for a long time. When I'm shopping, I always make sure to compare the packaging of things and try to make a decision based on the impact of the packaging on the environment. And the idea with this project is to help others do the same. I launched a consumer survey in which every person answered that they think packaging waste is a huge problem for the environment. And most said that they had good packaging knowledge. However, when this knowledge was tested, the vast majority answered incorrectly. This proves that with the current labeling system, consumers are not able to make informed decisions, which is why I want to create an easy way to educate them. To do this, I've created an algorithm that takes information on the product packaging and reduces it to a simple rating system of 5 stars. I chose a 5-star rating system because it is something that people will understand as we use this type of system every day, whether you're choosing a restaurant or deciding what shoes to buy online. I deliberately base my algorithm on facts and data, so anyone using it to evaluate packaging will reach the same rating. It's a comprehensive system using the weight of the product, the weight of the packaging materials, and data on how each packaging material affects the environment. They all come together in the algorithm to produce a simple rating out of 5 stars. Now let's expand on the environmental data of materials. The first part is to find out what happens to it. So, is it compostable? Can it be recycled? Or does it go to landfill? And if it's recycled, what percent is actually recycled in the US? Even if something can be recycled, oftentimes it is not, and that must be taken into consideration. I use all of this information to calculate the environmental impact of various packaging materials and convert it into a weighting factor to be used by my algorithm. In order to build a comprehensive approach, I needed a lot of data and did extensive research on different types of packaging materials and how they are handled in a waste management system. I did a lot of primary research from multiple sources, including the EPA and industry data. The beginning stages were messy and confusing, but I finally developed this algorithm. At the top here are all of the weighting factors. Here's where I put all of my research and the data that I found to figure out how environmentally friendly each packaging material is and to put it into my algorithm in a way that made sense. Right here is where I put the product weight in grams, and then here is where I put the weight of each packaging material in grams. At the bottom here is the final rating, and I won't walk you through all of it with the math, but here's one of the more complicated parts. Some examples that I use are an egg carton, which has 5 stars because the packaging is completely recyclable, and even if it was put in landfill, paper degrades relatively quickly. I also used an aluminum Coke can, which has a rating of 4.2 stars. And you would expect it to be completely recyclable, but only 65% of aluminum cans are recycled in the US, and a byproduct of the recycling process makes it so that only 80% of it is actually recyclable. I also use the double mint gum and it has a rating of 0.3 stars, which is so low because it actually has less product than packaging. And all of the packaging goes in the landfill. One of the important parts of doing a project like this is talking to people who already have a lot of knowledge in the industry. I reached out to many people, including Monica McGurk, the Chief Global Growth Officer at Kellogg, who thinks something like this is helpful and to be aware that getting companies to change their packaging is not easy. Annika Kaminsky, who thinks it is important that there is a government mandate so that the consumer packaged good companies are required to institute this, just like nutrition labels. Her suggestion is to work with industry consortia so that multiple companies get to figure out how to implement this. And Claire Hone, who works closely with many food companies, such as Campbell's, Mars, Pepperidge Farm, and Hershey's as a food photographer, and is seeing a trend towards sustainable packaging and the informed consumer decision making. These perspectives indicate that there's a need for a rating system like this, but it is important to get the government and industry behind it. This has happened before in 1990 when nutrition labels were mandated by the FDA, and now all food packaging has to have this information. A similar solution, but a different goal, is Energy Star. Energy Star was focused on helping consumers make purchasing decisions about their appliances based on its energy consumption. It was mandated to be put on all household appliances in 1992. I'm excited about this project because it's helping consumers to make decisions to start buying products with better packaging and provide the transparency to encourage companies to make packaging be less harmful to the environment and faster. Thank you for listening. I'd also like to thank Mr. Randall and Dr. Day for their help on this project.